First of all, I'm an atheist. I do not believe that there is a God. I do not believe in heaven or hell. And before anyone assumes anything, I'm not angry at religion. I'm not trying to convert anyone. I genuinely do not care what you personally believe. What I care about is critical thinking. I often see people ask atheists, why do you reject God? But I'm not rejecting anything. You can reject something you don't believe exists. I'm simply unconvinced. There's a difference. And this video isn't about changing your mind. Whether you're Christian, Muslim, Jewish, Hindu, or atheist, that's your choice. What I want is for you to question the things that were handed to you before you were old enough to think for yourself. There's a quote often attributed to Arthur Schopenhauer. 5 minutes after you're born, they decide your name, your nationality, and your religion, and you spend the rest of your life defending it. Think about that. If you were born in Saudi Arabia, chances are you'd be Muslim. If you were born in India, you might be Hindu. If you're born in America, you're statistically more likely to be a Christian. Is that coincidence? There are over 3,000 gods that humans have believed in throughout history. Why is yours the correct one? Every religion says the others are false, which means most religious people are atheists toward every religion except their own. An atheist just goes one god further. One thing that genuinely frustrates me is when people use a holy book as proof that their God exists. If someone tells me God is real because it says so in the Bible, that isn't evidence, that's circular reasoning. That would be like saying Harry Potter exists because he's written about in a book. Religious texts, like the Bible or the Quran, are not scientific documents. They were written thousands of years ago by people who believed the earth was flat, who didn't understand disease, who didn't understand astronomy. Some believers now say it's all metaphorical, but historically, much of it was not written as a metaphor. When science advanced and contradicted certain beliefs, interpretation had to change. And that's important. Science changes when new evidence appears. Religion reinterprets when it's forced to. If we destroyed every science book today, in 1,000 years, they would be rewritten almost identically, because experiments would give the same results. If we destroyed every holy book, the new ones would not be identical. They would reflect the culture and beliefs of the time. That difference matters. Another thing I find strange is the idea that atheists need to prove that God doesn't exist. If I told you I believe in a giant invisible cookie monster that controls the universe, you wouldn't feel obligated to prove it doesn't exist. You would simply say, I don't believe you. Show me the evidence. That's all atheism is. The burden of proof lies with the person making the claim. This idea was discussed deeply by philosopher Bertrand Russell, with his analogy of Russell's teapot, the idea that if someone claims a teapot is orbiting the sun too small to detect, the responsibility isn't on others to disprove it, it's on the claimant to prove it. Do I think religion is evil? Not necessarily. Religion has inspired charity, community, art, music, moral systems, but religion has also been used to justify war, terrorism, oppression, and control. When people believe they are acting on behalf of an all-powerful divine being that can become dangerous, history shows us that. And this isn't about one religion, it's about blind certainty. Ignorance combined with absolute conviction is one of the most destructive forces in human nature and history. One of the most disturbing ideas to me is eternal punishment for disbelief. Many religious traditions teach that if you don't believe, you go to hell. Think about that. An all-powerful being creates you, gives you limited evidence, and if you're unconvinced, you're punished forever. Would you call that just? If I told my girlfriend, if you don't love me, I'll set you on fire, would I be loving? So why is it loving when God does it? Philosophers call this the problem of evil. Thinkers like David Hume argued that if God is all-powerful and all-good, why is there so much suffering? Earthquakes, cancer, hurricanes, birth defects, disease? If God exists, either he is not all powerful or not all good. You can't logically have both without serious contradictions. The Earth is over 4.5 billion years old. Modern humans have existed for roughly 300,000 years, and civilization as we know it for maybe 10,000. That's nothing in cosmic terms. Yet we assume we are the chosen species, the center of creation, destined for eternal paradise. Why? The universe is unimaginably vast, and if we are on a small rock orbiting an average star in an average galaxy, that doesn't scream chosen. Some people ask, if there's no God, what's the point of life? To me, that's like asking if there's no master, whose slave should I be? Meaning doesn't require a deity. In fact, meaning becomes more powerful when it's temporary. And here's something interesting. Even if God exists, wouldn't atheists potentially be more morally sincere? When an atheist does something good, it's because they believe it's right. When a religious person does something good, is it always out of pure morality? Or sometimes out of fear of punishment or hope of reward? I'm not saying religious people aren't moral, many are deeply moral in fact. But morality does not require religion. Let's talk about the Pascal's wager. The argument basically says even if God might not exist, you should believe just in case, because the risk of hell is too great. I find this intellectually lazy. First, which God should you believe in? There are thousands. Second, can you force yourself to genuinely believe something just as a safety bet? Belief isn't a switch. And third, if God is all knowing, wouldn't He know you're only believing out of fear? That's not faith, that's insurance. One of the most common debates is what created the universe. Religious people say everything must have a cause, so the universe must have a creator. Okay, then what created God? The answer is usually God has always existed. But if something can always exist without a creator, why can't the universe itself? You can't say infinite existence is impossible for the universe, but perfectly logical for God. That's special pleading. If God can be eternal, then an eternal universe is just as logically possible. At the end of the day, I'm not claiming absolute certainty. I'm simply unconvinced. And I would never worship a being that creates suffering, demands worship, and punishes doubt with eternal torture. If God exists and values honesty, then honest doubt should not be a crime. If he values blind obedience over critical thinking, then that's not a being worthy of worship. Religion will likely always exist. It comforts people. It gives answers where science sometimes says, we don't know. But I don't know is an honest answer. And I'd rather live with honest uncertainty than comforting certainty without evidence. That's not hatred. That's not rebellion. It's just where my reasoning leads me. And if you guys enjoyed this video, please leave a like or a sub because it would help my channel grow out a lot. And then I definitely would want to hear about your thoughts about, well, this subject. Even if you totally disagree with me, which I know probably some people will, I do hope you will leave a comment because I really am interested in all of you guys' thoughts. And then I'll see you guys in the next one.